Murder in Room G13, the case of Annie Lee. On September 8, 2009, 5 days before her wedding, Annie Lee left her apartment and took the Yale Transit to the Sterling Hall of Medicine. She left her purse at her workplace and walked to 10th Amistad Street in New Haven at 10 a.m., where a CCTV camera caught her entering her research lab. This was the last time she was seen alive. Annie Lee's roommates were concerned when she did not return home by 9 p.m., and so they called the police to report her missing. But what happened to Annie Lee? Why did she disappear? And who was responsible for it all? Annie Lee was born in San Jose, California in 1985 to a Vietnamese-American family. Her family, friends, and colleagues described her as kind, friendly, and witty to everyone she ever met. She was an extraordinary student from an early age. Annie was valedictorian of her high school graduating class and was voted the most likely to become the next Einstein. After graduating from the University of Rochester in New York, Annie was accepted into a graduate program at the esteemed Yale University, located in New Haven, Connecticut. This would have resulted in a pharmacology PhD. She was engaged to Jonathan Wydowski. They were smitten with each other, and Annie described Jonathan as her best friend. Jonathan was pursuing his doctorate in physics while working at Columbia University in New York City. The wedding was to take place on September 13, 2009, and therefore, Annie's last day on campus was set for September 8th. On the day of September 8th, concerns about Annie's whereabouts grew. She left the campus building at 10 a.m., but by 9 p.m., she had not returned home. Her housemates had been expecting her for hours, but they had not seen or heard from her at all. Her roommates called the New Haven Police Department and reported her missing. The Yale staff investigated all 75 cameras on campus and found no evidence of Annie leaving. The campus was closed for an investigation, and the FBI, New Haven Police, and Connecticut State Police were all involved. Since none of the cameras had any record of her leaving the campus, the police and Yale staff assumed that she was still inside. They searched for Annie for 4 days, but to no avail. Yale offered a $10,000 reward for any information leading to Annie's whereabouts. On September 12, after hearing nothing from Annie, the police department and FBI launched a second search. A closer inspection of room G13 revealed a drop of blood on one of the shelf units. After discovering the drop of blood, the police began a more thorough investigation of room G13, eventually uncovering a ceiling tile with a bloody sock and a single blue surgical glove. The cops also noticed a distinct odor coming from the toilet near room G22, a smell that some officers were very familiar with. The police quickly began searching for the source of the odor, and the entire building was closed down and designated a crime scene. On September 13, 2009, the day of her wedding, Annie Lee's decaying body was discovered shoved into a wall upside down behind a metal utility panel close to the lockers in room G22. The murderer had broken her arms to make her body fit. The medical examiner determined that Annie died from acute asphyxiation caused by neck compression. Other injuries include a broken jaw and a shattered collarbone. Additional investigation turned up proof of sexual assault. A blue surgical glove that matched the one discovered under the ceiling cover was close to her body. The police sampled her clothing for DNA, which was then submitted to be checked against the combined index DNA system. The police knew that someone with a Yale ID card had to have killed Annie because a Yale ID card is required to enter the labs where Annie's body was found. Therefore, the students and staff of Yale became primary suspects. It wasn't long until the combined index DNA system returned a hit on the DNA, and a match was born to a convicted felon named Kieran Robinson. However, this was not the clear-cut answer that the police were hoping for, because Robinson was shot dead several years before anything in Annie's case ever occurred. Robinson had worked on that specific building's construction years before his death, which explained his DNA. Since there was no other matches, the authorities were still looking for any leads. More days passed. By this point, detectives had analyzed around 700 hours of video and interviewed over 100 people. The police had one guy on their radar since day one, but they didn't have enough evidence to establish anything. The key card data revealed that 2 people entered room G13 that day. One was a third-party contractor, and the other was a guy named Raymond Clark. Raymond was a lab technician assigned to maintain room G13. He didn't attend Yale, but had worked there for some time. Raymond was known to students as someone who wanted to control everything, someone who got extremely angry over minor things. Raymond's ex-girlfriend from high school went on live television saying that Raymond was highly controlling and would lash out at anyone if things didn't go his way. He would often get physical. Ray was already under police surveillance. He told the authorities that he clocked in at 7 a.m. and had seen Annie in room G13. Ray then said that he thought Annie had left the lab that afternoon. This raised suspicions as none of the 70 cameras around the campus had seen Annie leave her research lab, adding Ray to the list of suspects. Between 10:40 a.m. that morning and 3:45 p.m., Ray had gone in and out of G13 and G22 a total of 55 times. This was confirmed using this keycard activity and the cameras. The FBI was asking for more information at this time and included a tagline number to call in case there was a lead in the case. They eventually collected 250 pieces of evidence, including DNA on a box of wipes, DNA on a lab coat, and DNA of an unknown male found on Annie's body. The FBI took leads from the New Haven police. The DNA on Annie's body belonged to a male, and Raymond was working alongside Annie on the day of her disappearance, making him the prime suspect in Annie's murder. Raymond was brought in for questioning by the police on September 16th. The police asked Ray to take a polygraph test, to which he agreed. The results showed definitive signs of deception. Still, as always, a polygraph test is not admissible, and therefore it was not enough for the police to hold him. As the police questioned Raymond, they noticed scratches on his arms and face and some fresh bruises on his body. He said that the scratches came from a cat. He was issued a warrant to submit his DNA, which he willingly did, and the police let him go. Shortly after 8 a.m. the next day, the police arrested Raymond Clark for the murder of Annie Marie Lee. A total of 3 search warrants, and the result of the DNA test had finally confirmed that he was Annie's murderer. The bloody surgical glove in the ceiling and the one next to Annie's body, along with the lab coat that Ray was wearing, contained 2 sets of DNA. He signed into room G13 using a green pen that morning. The police also found a green pen under Annie's body with her and Ray's DNA on it. This evidence and the video footage made everything clear. It is unknown whether Annie and Raymond got into an argument on the morning of September 8th, or if Raymond had planned it all along. Either way, some altercation occurred, and it soon got physical. Raymond wrapped his hands around Annie's neck and compressed it severely. Raymond also attempted to force himself on Annie, as the bottoms of her shirt were open. There was a sign of sexual assault as her underwear was down to her ankles. After he ended Annie's life, he panicked and stuffed her body inside one of the walls in the lab. He also attempted to eliminate the smell of a decomposing corpse by placing air fresheners on the walls and the ceilings. Raymond was held at the McDougal Walker Correctional Institution, a maximum security prison, on a $3 million bail, and his lawyer told people that he was expected to plead not guilty. In 2009, Raymond went before the Connecticut Superior Court, although he made no pleas to the accusations against him. Due to the lack of all the necessary evidence and case elements, his hearing was postponed until January 26, 2010. Raymond Clark first entered a not guilty plea, but quickly changed it in exchange for 44 years in jail. He was also found guilty of attempted sexual assault by taking the Alford plea. An Alford plea is a guilty plea with no admission of guilt. Instead, you concede to the integrity of the evidence used to convict you. At his sentencing, Raymond sobbed as he expressed his regret and remorse for killing Annie Lee, and how she will always be a more remarkable person than he could ever be. Though he admitted to killing Annie and apologized profusely, he never offered a genuine reason for killing Annie that day. The motive behind her murder is still a mystery. All in all, the story of Annie Lee is tragic, dying right before her happy day. A brilliant young woman, a mysterious disappearance, and a devastating revelation at the end.